I only moved to the town because rent was cheap. That's the truth. No romantic backstory, no tragic reason. Just a job that suddenly went remote and an apartment listing that felt like a glitch in the system. It was one of those small American towns that looks frozen in time. Narrow streets, faded storefront signs, a single diner that closes too early, and at the center of everything, the clock tower. You could see it from almost anywhere, tall, gray, silent. At least that's what I thought at first. The first week felt normal. Quiet mornings, cold autumn air, a soft orange glow from streetlights at night. I worked from a small desk near my window, watching the town move slowly like it was buffering. Sometimes I'd hear distant sirens. Not ambulance sirens, not police. Something older. A long mechanical wail that echoed through the streets like metal crying. The landlord told me it was just the clock maintenance alarm. He smiled when he said it, but his eyes stayed somewhere else. I didn't think much about it until the night the clock started moving backwards. I was making instant noodles, cheap ones, the kind that taste like salt and regret. The kitchen window faced the tower. At exactly 11:59 p.m., the minute hand stopped. It hung there like someone holding their breath. Then, it ticked, but not forward, backward. 11:58, 11:57, 11:56. Each movement made a sound that was too loud for something so far away, like a nail being driven into wood. Tick, tick, tick. I stood there holding the plastic fork. The noodles went cold in seconds. The entire town felt like it had paused with me. No cars passed, no dogs barked. Even the distant hum of electricity seemed to dim. Then the tower lights went out. Not flickered, gone, just a black silhouette against a gray sky. I told myself it was a power outage, except my apartment lights stayed on. So did the street lights. Only the tower had disappeared into darkness. The next morning, no one mentioned it. The diner waitress didn't react when I asked. She just refilled my coffee and said, "Sometimes it resets." Resets. Like time was a device that needed rebooting. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept checking my phone clock. 2:13 a.m., 2:13 a.m., 2:13 a.m. It wouldn't change. The digital numbers glowed at me like an accusation. Then my laptop screen lit up on its own. No notifications, no sound, just a blank white page. In the center, a countdown. 0 hours, 10 minutes, 0 seconds. The numbers began to drop. I remember laughing, not because it was funny, because it felt like my brain was trying to escape through my throat. 9:59, 9:58, 9:57. I unplugged the laptop. The screen stayed on. The numbers kept falling. When it reached 0, the clock tower rang. One single chime, deep, heavy, wrong. It didn't echo. It swallowed the sound around it. After that, things changed. The town felt thinner, like reality had been stretched too far. People began stopping mid-sentence. Cars would idle at green lights for minutes. I saw a man standing outside the grocery store staring up at the tower with tears running down his face. He didn't blink. He didn't move. The clock hands started counting down every night. Not minutes, days. Huge, glowing digits appeared across the tower face. 12, then 11, then 10. No one explained it, but everyone knew. You could feel it in the way conversations got shorter, in the way windows stayed closed even during warm afternoons. On day 7, the sirens started again. This time they didn't stop. A constant mechanical howl that vibrated through my bones. Sleep became impossible. Dreams became worse. I'd see the tower in my mind even when I shut my eyes, standing closer, leaning, watching. On day 5, the shadows started moving. Not dramatically, just enough to make you question your sanity. Streetlight shadows that slid sideways. reflections that lagged half a second behind real motion. I began recording everything on my phone, videos, audio, notes. One clip still haunts me. I filmed the tower at sunset. When I played it back later, there was a figure standing near the top balcony, tall, still, looking directly at me. I swear it wasn't there when I recorded. Day 3, the power went out across the entire town, except the tower. It glowed, bright white numbers cutting through the darkness. 3. People gathered in the streets. No one spoke. We just stared upward like witnesses waiting for a verdict. That's when I realized something else. The tower wasn't counting down to midnight. It was counting down to us. Every time the number changed, someone disappeared. A barista, a delivery driver, the old man who fed pigeons in the square. Their apartments stayed full of belongings, phones still charging, food still warm on tables, but they were gone. Day 1, the town felt empty. Wind pushed trash across the sidewalks. Doors creaked open without being touched. I packed a bag. I was going to leave. I didn't care about my lease or job or anything else. I just wanted distance between me and that tower. When I reached the highway, the road looped. No matter how far I drove, the town sign kept appearing again. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. At sunset, the tower began its final countdown. 0:10. People emerged from buildings like sleepwalkers. We all walked toward the square. I tried to resist. My legs moved anyway. 00:05. The figure appeared again at the balcony. Closer now. I could see its face, or what should have been a face. It looked like static on a broken screen. 00:03. The sirens reached a pitch that felt like knives in my skull. 00:01. Everything stopped. No wind, no breath, no heartbeat. Then the clock struck. Not once, not twice, but endlessly. A loop of sound folding over itself. Reality cracked like thin glass. Buildings bent inward. The sky darkened to a color I can't describe. And suddenly, the countdown started again. 99. I realized then what the tower was doing. It wasn't ending time. It was harvesting it, trapping us in repeating cycles until nothing remained. I don't know how long I've been here now. Days don't exist. Phones don't show real dates. The numbers keep falling. The town keeps shrinking. And tonight, the clock tower is counting down again. If you ever pass through a quiet town and notice a clock that never shows the right time, don't stop. Don't look. Just keep driving. Because once the countdown starts, it never lets you leave. Have you ever seen a clock that felt like it was watching you? I don't know how I'm still able to write this. Time here doesn't behave like time anymore. Minutes stretch, hours collapse. Sometimes I blink and the sky is a different color. Sometimes I close my eyes and hear entire conversations that never actually happened. But the tower is still there, always there, counting. After the first reset, people started changing. Not physically at first, not in any obvious horror movie way. It was smaller than that, subtler. They began losing the idea of before. I'd ask someone how long they'd lived here and they'd just stare at me like I'd spoken another language. Then they'd smile, a slow, empty smile, and say, "Long enough." The countdown showed 98 the next morning. No sunrise, just a gradual shift from black to gray, like someone adjusting a brightness slider on the sky. I started noticing gaps in the town, literal gaps. Buildings that had existed yesterday were suddenly gone, leaving behind empty lots with cracked foundations and dust that never settled. It wasn't demolition, it was subtraction, reality editing itself. The diner disappeared first. One moment I was walking toward it, already tasting burnt coffee in my mouth. The next, there was nothing there but wind pushing wrappers across a bare concrete slab. No rubble, no debris, just absence. and somehow, no one else reacted. They stepped around the empty space like it had always been that way, like their memories had been quietly overwritten. That night I heard footsteps outside my apartment door. Slow, measured. They stopped right on the other side. I held my breath. The hallway light flickered under the gap in the frame, then a shadow bent downward, as if something tall was crouching to look through. I pressed my eye to the peephole. Nothing. Just the dim corridor and peeling wallpaper. But I could still hear breathing. Deep, wet, like air moving through something that wasn't meant to breathe. The tower chimed again. Not a full strike, just a single note. The footsteps stopped instantly. When I opened the door, there were scratch marks across the wood, long grooves, too high to reach without standing on something. The next day the countdown read 95. I realized the numbers weren't dropping one by one anymore. They were accelerating, like whatever controlled the tower was getting impatient. That's when the dreams started feeling more real than waking. I'd find myself standing at the base of the tower in complete silence. No sirens, no wind, just the sound of gears turning deep inside the stone. Huge mechanisms grinding like ancient bones. Sometimes I'd see silhouettes moving behind the clock face. Human shapes stretched thin, trapped between layers of glass and light. They'd pound against the inside, but no sound would reach me. One night I woke up on the tower steps, barefoot, my phone clutched in my hand, recording. I don't remember leaving my apartment. The video shows me walking the entire way, head tilted slightly upward, like I was listening to instructions only I could hear. At the end of the recording, there's a voice, not mine, not anyone's I recognize. It whispers directly into the microphone. You're almost synchronized. I haven't been able to sleep since. The town keeps getting smaller, streets folding into each other, alleys leading back to the same intersections, no matter which direction I turn. Yesterday I tried running, just sprinting without thinking, past empty houses, past flickering lights, past people standing perfectly still in the middle of sidewalks like frozen statues. After 10 minutes, I ended up right back in front of the tower. It felt like the ground itself had curved around me. The countdown read 89, and for the first time, the figure on the balcony waved, slowly, like it had been expecting me. I'm starting to understand something terrible. This place isn't just trapped in time, it's being rewritten. Every reset erases a little more of who we are. Memories fade, faces blur, names become meaningless sounds. Sometimes I struggle to remember my own. Sometimes I look in mirrors and feel like I'm watching someone else try to wear my skin. Tonight, the sirens came back louder than ever. The sky turned a deep metallic red, and the clock tower began glowing from within. Not white this time, but a sick, pulsing blue. The numbers dropped straight from 88 to 80 in seconds. People started screaming, not in fear, in recognition, like they suddenly remembered something they'd been trying to forget. I think the tower is reaching the next stage. I think the countdown isn't just measuring time anymore, it's measuring us. And if it reaches 0 again, I'm not sure there will be anything left to reset. If you're reading this, I need you to do one thing. Look at the nearest clock. Really look at it. Make sure the hands are moving forward, because if they ever start moving back, you might already be closer to this town than you think. The countdown hit 79 tonight, and something finally changed. The tower didn't just glow anymore, it opened. A crack split down the middle of the clock face like broken glass. Blue light spilled into the streets. People started walking toward it, slow, silent, like sleepwalkers answering a call. I tried to run the other way, but every road bent back. Every turn led me closer. The sirens stopped, completely. For the first time since I arrived, there was total silence. When I reached the square, the balcony figure was gone. Instead, I saw something worse. Hundreds of shadows climbing inside the tower walls, moving like reflections with no bodies. And in the center of the cracked clock, I saw myself. Not standing outside, but trapped behind the glass, pounding, screaming. The number dropped again. 78. I checked my phone. The time on the screen was going backwards. My messages were disappearing, photos deleting themselves. Even this note, lines fading as I type. I think the countdown isn't for the town, it's for me. If the numbers reach 0, I won't be outside the tower anymore. I'll be part of it. So before this resets again, tell me something. Have you ever heard a clock ticking when there wasn't one in the room?